Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. If you had any doubts that there's a deep state, a conspiracy in Washington, D.C., a strategy plan being carried out to destroy America, our republic, our constitution, our laws, and civility, well, this show just may be the one that wakes you up. A magistrate, a judge today, has issued a warning to Trump's U.S. attorney, Alina Habba, because the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, was arrested and she was saying there's an ongoing investigation. But the magistrate says, hey, I'm warning you, you aren't allowed to talk. Why? Oh, because the Newark mayor is running for governor of New Jersey. So if you talk about the investigation that's ongoing about him, that's election interference. Can you name for me a judge who said no talking about Trump and the Trump cases because we got an election coming? No one can name a judge that said that. These stinking communist fucking judges need to be removed. They need to be removed, disbarred, just fucking gotten rid of altogether. It's not going to get better, folks. It's now getting much, much worse. The rest of the world is now turning on the United States of America. Well, no, let me rephrase that. Political institutions around the world are turning on the United States of America, and Trump is going after them. He is now saying that the European Union, the political body, not European people, not European nations, the European Union is, quote, nastier than China. And Trump has vowed that he's going to end Europe's free ride that has taken advantage of America's prosperity. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I'm sick of the European Union and its trash and its bullshitting the United States of America and bullshitting of its own people. The European Union is a bunch of unelected bureaucrats who have empowered themselves to control all of Europe. It is now interfering with their elections, literally. It's interfering with trade, literally. It's interfering with their right to make sovereign decisions about immigration. And it's not immigration, it's forced integration of white people, European peoples, having to tolerate Muslims being shoved down their fucking throats. It's getting worse, folks. It's getting worse. Now, I'm going to continue. I'm probably going to go very fast because there's a lot to talk about. And I want your comments down below, please, in the comment section, because you'll have your chance to share your thoughts on the day. Now, Democrats and their white liberal friends and their college brainwashed morons and their black racists, demagogues, have proven that they are anti-Christian, anti-Constitution, and anti-white. How have they proven this? By opposing people being murdered in South Africa. They're opposed to that. They're opposed to exposing it. They're opposed to doing something about it. And it's not just the Democrats, it's the mainstream media. It is the worldwide mainstream media ignoring a racial murder spree by a nation. I've read enough on it. I am disgusted by it. Absolutely disgusted by it. Right? And why are these white people being murdered in South Africa? Well, because they're white. Because they're Christians. The Democrats and their party and their European allies, the world socialists, the European Union, are evil, pure evil. They're the party of death. And in America, fuck each and every stinking Democrat out there who has decided that it's okay to murder white people. It's okay to murder Christians. It's okay to murder black people who support freedom and liberty. It's okay to attack people, to dox them, to expose them. Folks, they're begging for SHTF to hit the streets again like 2020. They're pushing this race card because it's very effective. The playing the race card cuts across political boundaries. It cuts across racial boundaries. It cuts across gender boundaries. It's literally dividing people like the Red Sea. And it doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is, are you opposed to it, or are you for destroying white people, white European heritage, and our Constitution? It's going to get nasty, nasty, nasty. Are you prepared? Are you prepared? Now, I've got more. There's plenty more where that came from. Again, comments down below with Mr. Human. The Democrats are now threatening, literally openly threatening you and me, us. Dollar store Obama. Is that Hakeem Jeffries? You bet it is. Hakeem Jeffries. Dollar store Obama. Discount Obama is threatening federal officials who want to go after Democrats who break the law. And this is what he says. A politician in Washington, D.C., in Congress says, quote, they'll find out. They'll find out. They'll find out. It's a red line. They know better than to go down that road. There are clear lines they dare not cross. What's he talking about? He's threatening that if federal officials, federal law enforcement, the FBI, Department of Justice, if they arrest Democrat politicians for interfering with law enforcement, assaulting law enforcement officers, interfering with investigations, interfering with official duties, right? They're being told they need to be arrested, but no, the Democrats, they don't want that. So they're threatening people. In fact, AOC is part of that as well. It is. I'll get to that fucking ding dong here in just a bit. But I want to keep going. I want to show you this is not a one subject matter SHTF that's coming. It's not. It's everything. The world is now turning against Israel, not because they're Jews, not because the world is full of anti-Semites, but because the sneaky, backhanded bullshit coming from Israel is being exposed. Them running and hiding behind the Star of David is not working anymore. Claiming to be God's chosen people isn't working anymore. You don't get to start wars and attack people just because you claim and use the word Israel to describe your country. They're not Israelites. They're Israelis. In any event, folks, there's a lot more to what's going on than just the race baiting bullshit, just the South African bullshit, just the war in Ukraine. There's a lot more. In fact, let's go down this road. Mike Davis, a Trump attorney, right, says, if the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, John, I fly with Epstein Airlines, Roberts, is not going to get his judicial house in order, quote, as American voters, we're not going to let these activist judges sabotage our will and sabotage the President of the United States, end quote. Folks, there is a showdown that's coming. A showdown with judges. The judiciary, that is the judicial branch, has failed. It has and is and continues to commit insurrection by obstructing the will of the people as expressed through their voting and the power invested in the President of the United States to act on all Article 2 authority that he's been invested with. Right? They have failed, the judges, for attacking. They've committed insurrection. They need to be dismissed. They need to be impeached. And not just Chief Justice John Roberts, but how about the entire Supreme Court? The entire federal judiciary system. They all need to be removed and dismissed for cause, with prejudice. And it's not racial prejudice, folks. It's because they are completely and totally partisan. They don't look to the Constitution. They look to their party's agenda. The party's agenda, the unit party, that is, not just Democrats, but the Republicans that empower them by doing nothing. Republicans have power, they're taking no action. They're doing zip, zilch, nada, jack shit. The Republicans are just as guilty as the Democrats. There's a few staunch, pro-American, America first, patriotic legislators, but most of them are fucking worthless, spineless, cowards, and chicken shits. We need to remove the entire Supreme Court and all the federal judges, period. And then select a new Supreme Court that respects the Constitution. Right? That comes first and foremost, not party politics, not populist ideas that are outside the scope of the Constitution, but the Constitution itself, which says for all people, man or woman, black or white, Asian or native, it doesn't fucking matter. You're all equal before the law. Legislators, judges, presidents, governors, government workers, cops, you are not above the law. Nobody is above it. Well, that would be the way it should be, right? The new Supreme Court and the federal judiciary needs to be selected, and it needs to respect the Constitution. Not respecting bankers, not respecting pharmaceutical companies, and not, right, anti-American communist agenda lovers. It needs to end, and it's going to have to. But we have judges now pushing, demanding our country be destroyed. Wait until the judges start pushing the anti-American, anti-white racism. That is going to start coming from the bench soon. Mark my words. Now, this happened, and I was shocked to hear this bit of news, folks. In Utah, a super rich bastard, I think his house is 26,000 square feet. So this super rich bastard, and look, folks, I don't begrudge him or am jealous of his property or wealth, but the way he went about getting it. This super rich bastard, James Jensen, his wife and his two sons were arrested in what? In a $300 million Mexican smuggling scheme. Right? So the feds raided his 26,000 square foot, $9.2 million mansion. Now, what did he do wrong? A Mexican oil smuggling scheme. Well, their crimes sound like familiar Democrat and Rhino Republican campaign fundraising scheme. Get this, count one. All the family members are charged with conspiracy to launder money derived from illegal operations. Does that sound like Ukraine? Does that sound like you said money? Counts 2 and 3. James and Max Jensen, that's the sons, are accused of aiding and abetting the smuggling of merchandise and using false documentation to deceive customs authorities. Well, who else had import-export business? I think high-level Democrats. I mean, isn't Mitch McConnell married to someone in China? Didn't Swallows well? Isn't he banging a Chinese agent? And they're always getting sweetheart deals. I don't know. What about Biden? Oh yeah. Anyways, let us continue with this awful family. Counts 4 and 5. Both James and Kelly, that's husband and wife Jensen, allegedly spent the proceeds of their illegal activity on major purchases, such as cashier's checks and buying high-end car dealerships. What? What I want to know is, why hasn't the Pelosi family, the Schumer family, the Crockett Eyelash family, the Biden family, the Obama family, and the Clinton families, why haven't they all been arrested the same way and charged with the same damn crimes? Money laundering, false documentation. And why? Why didn't Pam Bondi and Kash Patel show up and take credit for these arrests and claim, yeah, that's what we've been working on? Well, as awful as what I just read sounds, that's only $300 million. The you said fraud, USAID, that fraud, stealing our money by the federal government and giving it to non-government organizations like the Clinton Foundation or the Obama Foundation or the fucking Pelosi Foundation or the whatever foundation, right? That went into the trillions of dollars. The fight is on, folks. The people are waking up. In America, in Canada, in Australia, in France, in Germany, in England, in Scotland, in Ireland. But in France, the presidential candidate there, Marine Le Pen, who has opposed Emmanuel Macron, the sack of shit. Marine Le Pen is backing a Romanian nationalist political candidate. His name is Simeon. She's backing him, and she's accusing the communists in the European Union of meddling in sovereign national elections. You see, they're now starting to defend each other in different countries in Europe. Kind of like, I don't know, the governor of Florida or the governor of Georgia or the governor of any state endorsing a governor's race in another state, right? Marine Le Pen says, Romania first, no more foreign dictates, meaning the European Union, which is a foreign entity with respect to Romania's sovereign nation status, right? Meaning the European Union is communist and needs to be stopped cold before they get so far as they start opening concentration camps. They've already opened all the borders they can and allowed millions of anti-European scumbag Muslims into Europe to destroy, pillage, burn, literally burn churches by the hundreds, rape women, rape children, kidnap women, kidnap children, murder women, murder children, murder men. Wait till they open concentration camps for all those who oppose being murdered by these foreign fucking bastard barbarians. Now, I'll slow down a little bit. Over in Poland, seeing what reality is going on in Europe, and in an effort to publicly insult and excoriate the scum of the European Union, a candidate for the presidential race in Poland publicly went in front of the world and the media and set a European Union flag on fire. And here's his literal translation. Down with Euro communism. I didn't call them communists. He called them communism. And the European Union has become a communist dictatorship. The leader of the EU assumes all power for the entire EU, right? And it's now naked for all to see, because what are they doing? They're destroying all the people's rights. And they claim that the European Union is godlike, that it can do what it wants, that it is sovereign above all nations. In all truth, the European Union is just a fucking building in Brussels. The same way in the United States of America, the federal government is nothing more than that little dot on the map called Washington, D.C. That's it. It's not a giant state like Alaska or Texas. It's smaller than the smallest fucking pimple. It's smaller than a county. It's Washington, D.C., and it's nothing in size, yet it controls the entire country and intimidates the world with its bullshit. And its bullshit is not constitutional. Its bullshit is unconstitutional. And it's all under attack, folks. The war is getting very, very, very close. And racism is a huge part of it and will continue to be a huge part of it. Carmelo Anthony. That's right. The young aspiring doctor, the young aspiring lawyer, the young aspiring astronaut engineer No, the young aspiring thug who appeared in photos handling large amounts of cash and weapons, trying to look like a tough thug. Carmelo Anthony, who stabbed a fellow student in the chest, in the heart, with a fucking knife and killed him. He is going to be allowed to graduate at his high school. He's going to graduate with the class while he's out on bail for murdering Austin fucking Metcalf. Now, in my class back in 1988, the school said, if you don't turn in all your books and pay all your dues, whatever is owed, whatever you need to fix, if you didn't take every last little single required test, you will not be allowed to graduate. But the rule back then was murder whoever you want. We'll graduate you. No, not at all. If you did anything wrong, you would not be allowed to graduate with the class. Anything wrong. They said graduation is a privilege. We'll give you your diploma off to the side if we don't like you. Unfucking believable, folks. He's going to be allowed to graduate from his high school, right? The principal is going to shake his fucking hand and give him a diploma. Here you go, Carmelo. This last 6 months of your high school you spent on house arrest. It's cool, man. You go ahead and murder whoever the fuck you want, right? I know. Maybe Carmelo Anthony can stab some black students to show it wasn't a racially motivated murder and that he'll stab anybody. It's not racist. Maybe he could stab women too while at the graduation to show he hates everyone equally. And he is just a normal murderer and not an especially racist thug. I mean, can you fucking believe this? These are the people on the streets, and there are hundreds and thousands of blacks in America who think that's just fine. And there are also thousands of blacks in America who are disgusted beyond belief. Their videos, their responses on social media are every bit, if not more, shall we say, racially enlightening than I could be. They drop the hard R all day long on these fucking scumbags like Carmelo Anthony and the people that support this type of crap. It's going to get nasty, folks. When shit hits the fan, and it's going to. Look around. Know who your neighbors are. Know their belief systems if you can. Understand that just because someone's black or Hispanic or Asian or Native American doesn't make them anti-American, anti-white, murderous. But understand, a lot of people do hate you because you're white or because you're black, or they hate you because you're Native. They hate you because you're an American. There's lots of that. There's a lot of it out there, folks. And I'm going to give you an example. It's not just me and you on social media very quietly talking about this racist war that's developing, because that's what kicked off 2020. They know racism is one of those things that gets into a low IQ dumbass Democrat's head, and they'll act out on it because they're violent. Not us, not you and me, not conservatives of any color. They are violent people because they have low IQs and they can't think for themselves and they do as they're told. Right? We're talking very quietly in social media. They're going on CNN. They're going on mainstream media and shouting as loud as they can for the killing of whites and the destruction of America. During an especially heated CNN segment, the racist Ashley Allison, you probably don't know her name because before today, I didn't know her name. She looks a lot like Eyelash Crockett, stupid ghetto whore from Congress, right? Ashley Allison was a Biden-Harris senior staff member. And you know what she does? You know what she believes? She supports taking land and property and wealth and money and equipment that she supports taking that away from white South Africans. And she says they can, quote, go back to Germany. Unfucking believable, folks. By the way, the white South Africans came from, they're Dutch and they're English. Those are the two countries that settled South Africa 400 years ago. 400 years ago, they settled South Africa. You know how many blacks lived in South Africa? None to speak of. They came afterwards, after the whites settled South Africa and started farming South Africa and producing food in South Africa. And so other peoples showed up. It's incredible, folks. The South African families have lived there for hundreds and hundreds of years. And currently they produce approximately 98% of the food that the nation of South Africa consumes. The anti-white racism of Democrats is off the hook. And they're either saying nothing about South Africa, like the mainstream media doesn't want to show what's going on, which is the black government. Oh, excuse me. The black anti-communist, anti-white, anti-freedom government of South Africa sings songs about killing white people and that they need to kill the Boer, kill the white man, kill the farmer. So these idiots, these Wakanda supporting morons, they're way out of their league on this. They're asking for their own death by having no food produced, right? And like all communists, they think that when they steal other people's properties, their problems will be solved. You can't just, the food doesn't magically pop out of the fucking ground and harvest itself. It's crazy. Anyways, all of these American moronic anti-white people, anti-white South Africans, do they realize that their ancestors in Africa were sold as slaves by the same ancestors of the same blacks that still live in South Africa? They were sold by blacks that are over there saying, kill the whites. These people are all idiots on both sides of the ocean. It's unbelievable. And what are they asking for? They're asking for absolute death and destruction. And they're going to get it. I'm glad you are prepared with food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, and a means of self-defense. Have a plan. And like I said, know your neighbors. Race does not make someone your enemy. Political ideology does. Jihad Joe and the Muslims, their political ideology is infiltrate, populate, and go on the attack. And that's what they do. And look at what is happening with other violent racist groups. They're gathering their strength, right? They're populating and they're going on the attack. Now, I promised you, and I didn't want to let you go, that I was going to talk about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez making promises of Democrat violence. And AOC needs to be arrested for her threats and her other crimes. But she is threatening us in America. And she says, quote, there will be hell to pay, end quote. For what? Why is there going to be hell to pay? Oh, for the arrest of the New Jersey Democrats who attacked Immigrations and Customs Enforcement agents, violated the rules, violated the law, assaulted people, as well as trespassed criminally into a detention facility, a fucking prison. Now, AOC says, quote, we're going to have a problem. We already have a problem, you dumb bitch. And the FBI, the Department of Justice, the Attorney General offices better clean up this shit. They had better. As for AOC, is she promising to interfere with and respond with violence to government agents upholding the law? Let her complain. Let her threaten. On the street, we are ready, you little bitch. As for Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and the entire government law enforcement system, if they don't fix this and violence erupts on the streets, then you and I, the people, have a right and a duty to tell all the FBI, get the fuck out of our states. Get the fuck out. The Attorney General, you get the fuck out of here. You're not going to enforce the law on us if you can't enforce the law on crooked Democrats, crooked Republicans, crooked bureaucrats, thieves, liars, and scum at every level in government. If they can't clean themselves up, I don't trust them to clean up our states. It's getting closer, folks. Now, I'm not recommending insurrection or breaking the law. What I'm saying is this is the attitude I am discovering on social media. People have had enough of this shit. The fact that the FBI, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, you're doing jack shit. You have not arrested these fucking people that violently assaulted federal law enforcement who are getting illegal alien gangsters and murderers and thieves and rapists and pedophiles out of the country. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable that the Attorney General is doing jack shit. It's unfucking believable. This is America, huh? Yeah, this is America, all right. I tell you what, it is now past high time for us to go to, oh shit, says Ooman. We're going to go to, the inner circle. Okay, we are back. Okay, Uman says there's a lot of South African commentary. Let us roll with the beautiful bean footage. This is from Corey in Arizona. Corey, welcome. And he says on the back channels, he says, I can't wait to see how well the South African asylum seekers prosper here in the States. Yes, they're safe from the South African government, but now they're exposed to the Democrats, Antifa, BLM, etc. If they're not granted full citizenship, then what's keeping the next administration from deporting them? If they go back to South Africa, they would probably be killed or imprisoned. If granted citizenship, will their safety be in jeopardy from the left here as well? Thanks, Corey. Well, my brother, I know you've been looking from the east to the west and the west to the east and everywhere in between. Right? They can't be granted citizenship. They can be granted asylum, political asylum. The paperwork can be fully filled out, fully justified, run before a magistrate or a judge, given the rubber stamp. You guys are true political asylum seekers because your fucking families are being murdered in South Africa. Now, they can earn citizenship. In fact, my concrete contractor today and I had a talk. He is scheduled in June to take his test for citizenship. He has worked here in America for years, started a business, all legally. He has paid his taxes, paid his dues. He's studied the Constitution. We talked about the Bill of Rights, folks. The first, second, and third articles of the Constitution. I didn't have a chance to talk about the Declaration of Independence because a concrete truck rolled up. Still, I'm very proud of him. He's a good man. He wants to be an American, and he's doing it the right way. Couldn't be more proud of someone wanting to be an American. He's a Guatemalan. I'll do everything but mention his name. So these Afrikaners who come here are granted asylum. They should and probably will seek U.S. citizenship through the naturalization process. The next administration cannot deport them if they've done that. And in 3.5 years, they should have plenty of time to guarantee their citizenship. Now, for argument's sake, can the next government throw them out? Not if they're citizens. Can they revoke their citizenship? Well, legally, lawfully, they can only revoke it if they've lied, or failed to do things properly. But that doesn't stop judges today, does it? Judges are like, Constitution, who gives a fuck? And they throw it away. They can get thrown out, yes. And if they do go back to Africa, they will be killed or imprisoned. Where would they go back to? What house? What home? It's not like someone being sent back to Germany or England where they've got family and homes and they can get a job and start working. There's nothing in South Africa. Every single business in South Africa is owned by black, anti-white, communist Africans. There's no room in South Africa for anyone who isn't a communist, anti-freedom, anti-white, anti-Christian. Because Christians don't say, let's just murder people because of their skin color. That's not what Christians say. So it's not a Christian nation. Now, that's if they have to go to Africa. More importantly and more prescient is their condition in America, Corey. BLM, Black Lives Matter. Antifa, a bunch of communist fucks. And even the government itself here. Different Democrat districts, judges, cops, prosecutors, politicians who are anti-white, they're playing their fucking cards. They're asking and demanding a race war. These people are at risk. And guess what? You, whether you're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, doesn't fucking matter. These people, if they're good, if they're decent, if they have a good heart and they love America, and they're the ones waving American flags when they show up, not waving fucking Palestinian flags, not wearing keffiyehs on their fucking heads. They're glad and proud to be in America and thankful. They will discover their neighbors that are good. And there will be people coming to their rescue and to protect them from all races of America, as long as they're good people. Now, as far as productivity, they aren't here to get a fucking handout. I'm sure they're going to be put to work pretty quick. Pretty quick. Now, I want to remind everyone, when the blacks were freed from slavery, let's see, 150 plus years ago. It's a long fucking time ago. 150 years. Let's see, 20 years per generation. That's 5, 6, 7 to 8 generations ago. Slaves were freed. And guess what the government did? Gave them 40 acres of land, gave them a mule, gave them tools, gave them seeds to help them start as farmers. We had an agrarian or agricultural society back then, even though the Industrial Revolution was on. In non-industrialized cities, farming was still it. You could make your own food, engage in your own business, trade, etc. Well, that went on for years and years, this 40 acres a mule and the government helping out blacks as far as reparations. You know who ended that? You know who cut them off and stopped making sure that they would get the help they needed to making sure they had a chance to start their lives off as free people? It was the Democrats. They killed that program to help blacks become independent. It's always the Democrats, isn't it? It's always the racist Democrats. It's the racist Democrats. All right, let's do some more, Mr. Uman. I know we got a lot to cover, and the topics are tough. Chin Music checks in, and he says, as soon as all the white farmers are gone, you're going to see more videos of starving children than the camera crew won't feed. Look at Zimbabwe. Ooh. Okay, the nation of Rhodesia used to be called Zimbabwe. No, wait. Zimbabwe used to be called Rhodesia. Had that backwards. Sorry about that, folks. They had an anti-white revolution. The whites fled Rhodesia, Zimbabwe for South Africa, and then Surprise, a lot of them left for America, 15, 20, 25 years ago after this. Now, I happen to work with somebody, probably the most moral and decent man I've ever worked with, for, and around. He is a white man from South Africa, and prior to that, Rhodesia. And things were so bad there in this race war that it hurt him to even begin to talk about it with me. So I quit asking about it after just a couple attempts, right? He just said you wouldn't believe how horrid it was. That's what's going on right now in South Africa. The murders. Anytime you see South African footage, you're going to see crosses, fields of crosses, lines of roads with white crosses erected along the highways. Those are all white people who were murdered for being white. Those are people who have had their property stolen. Period, folks. And because they produce all the food in that region, there will be starving children and adults, because that's what communism does. It caters to the desires of the lowest common denominator, and then they end up killing everybody because they can't get what they want. Heidi says, I foresee starvation in South Africa, and I won't be contributing to aid for them. Well, they hate you anyways, Heidi, because you're a white lady, right? It's horrible. And it really has nothing to do with race for us as Americans, who are some of the most generous people on earth. Fuck, we give away $5 trillion every fucking year to other countries, other people. Hell, we even give money to the most corrupt politicians on the planet. Not willingly, but we do through our taxation. But when it comes to people who want to kill other people, yeah, I'm not sending any fucking money there. I don't send any money to any Muslim country. I don't donate, no. I would rather donate to St. Jude's, which is a hospital that helps children, or the Shriners Hospital that helps children, because children really possess innocence. And that makes my heart feel better, knowing that people are born innocent. And it's terrible that they grow and become corrupted. They can be corrupted as early as 3 years old. I've seen a little ghetto baby boy wearing a fucking diaper, kicking a policeman and calling him names. Where do you think he learned that from? His parents. Tainted at 2 to 3 years old. Unfucking believable. In any event, Heidi, thank you very much. Yeah, I won't be contributing to a country that wants to kill people simply because they don't like them. Right? I won't support murder. All right, Mr. Uman, who's next on the show? We got Robin Free to Be. And she says, I have this feeling the reason for the South African immigrants has to do with a favor for Elon Musk. Why can't they go to a European country? Aha! I tell you what, Robin, let's talk about this one. Elon Musk is South African. He is now an American citizen, naturalized also. I don't think this is a favor with Elon Musk or because of Elon Musk. I think this truly is a humanitarian effort. The killing, the murdering of thousands and thousands of people in South Africa is not new. It's been going on for decades. And it's just progressively gotten worse. You see, when Nelson Mandela, a thug of a communist sack of shit, was thrown in prison, South Africa went into an uproar. He eventually was released alive, unlike the Mandela effect, which said he was dead. And since he's been out, what do you think has been happening? The same thing that happened in Rhodesia, a race war. And I believe South Africa has 55 million people in it that are black, and I think 5 million people in it that are white. Now, I don't think it's a favor to Elon Musk. This is truly a humanitarian fucking disaster. Not because South Africa is shitty, but because the rest of the world supports them or allows it to happen. You don't hear anything coming from China, but China is not really a moral country. You don't hear anything coming from Europe. Europe is an awful place under their government, not the people, the governments of Europe. Now, look at it this way. You're asking the question, why can't they go to a European country? What is happening in America right now, Robin? In America, Republicans are saying these people deserve political asylum. There's no place else in the world that will take them, including Europe. Even though these people, their ancestors were English and Dutch. English and Dutch. In America, Republicans are saying, okay, let's get some of these people out of there. It's dangerous. Democrats are saying, you know what? Fuck you, white South African people. Get back to your country. We don't want you in our country. You're evil. Well, you look around. Look at the fucking people they're asking to come in, Robin, right? They're asking fucking MS-13, Trans Uruguay, fucking pro-Palestine, Hamas, Hezbollah, fucking terrorists. That's who they want in. Now, America is more conservative, more oriented towards freedom than Europe. So when you ask, why can't they go to a European country, Robin? I think the answer becomes self-evident when we understand and look at the governments, not the people of Europe, who I am sure would welcome them back. It's the governments and the people running their governments like Keir Starmer, Cocaine Keir, and Emmanuel Macron, and right, the European people's governments hate themselves. They hate white European culture, white European laws. They don't want these people back. They don't want them back. Now, I'm sure the Dutch would welcome back farmers. The farmers in the Netherlands have been fighting their own government. The government, the Dutch government and other governments in Europe are trying to kill farming. It's the same thing that's going on in South Africa. They're trying to kill farming. No growing food, no livestock, no chickens, no turkeys, no beef. Are you kidding me? So what I see, Robin, is I see the government leadership in the world, the true power that administrates governments from the most powerful countries. They want the population down. They want people dead. They want war, death, famine, pestilence. They want it. And that's what they're getting by allowing South African to do what they're doing. Europe won't let these people in or give them asylum. They want them dead. They're farmers. Because they're farmers, they don't want them. Also, because they're white, they don't want them. Europe is only interested in bringing immigrants in. They call them asylum seekers. But these bullshit liars, only if they're Muslims. Only if they're Muslims. Because they know they won't obey the law and they want to kill white people. It's awful. Right? President Trump is actually the first politician who has really stepped up, acknowledged the murder that's going on down there and the dangerous threat. These people in South Africa, folks, have been begging for help from the rest of the world for a long, long time. Even back during Trump's first presidency. I think that he's finally paying attention. You know, I wish we could do more. Does America need 5 million more people in it? My answer is no. We don't need 5 million more people. We need to get rid of 20 million illegal invaders. Now, what else do we know about America, the United States of America right now? I believe half of all babies born in our country are born to welfare mothers. Half. Which means the other half are born to people who are busting their ass, paying taxes. When it comes to bringing in people from other nations that are productive, have skills, like these farming South Africans, I actually think it's a good idea to bring them in. And I would say, much like the people who were freed in the 1860s, I say give them 40 acres and a fucking mule, some tools and some seeds, and say, grow your own food, start a farm, make produce and livestock available locally. They don't need a 10,000 acre farm. I say give them small farms where nobody else is farming. We don't need to take American farmers and put them out of business, and have them create food to feed themselves and feed others. What better way of saying, you want to be an American? You're not going to come here and freeload off of us. You're going to come here to our country and you're going to work, feed yourself, and feed us. That's the price of admission. You will be productive. Or we'll deport your dumbasses the same way we're deporting MS-13, trans to Uruguay, etc. Now, to be honest, Robin, I think that if Elon Musk is to be credited with anything, it would be talking to Trump and saying, look, bro, I've helped you out. I need you to take a look at South Africa, look closely, and make a determination. Does the United States of America need to do something to help what's going on? I think that may have happened. That conversation may have occurred. But I don't think Trump is doing anything about it, or the State Department, as a favor, but rather as a moral decision. Right? Is that what asylum is supposed to be about? Is that what political asylum is supposed to be about? It's helping people who are actually threatened by their governments because they're being murdered. To me, that makes sense. And that would make sense that that's what Elon Musk has done, if he's done anything. But I don't think that Elon Musk went to him and said, hey, look, you owe me and you better do this. I don't think he has that kind of sway. In fact, I think that sort of ultimatum / demand would piss Trump off. In any event, it is a great topic, and I really want to thank you for that one, Robin, because there's so much to talk about. And now we've got Red Arrow Tinker, and his response to Robin Free to Be is better than the Chinese or Bill Gates buying it. They actually use it for good. Well, right, the Chinese and the Bill Gates asshole, they're buying up farmland and letting it go fallow, doing nothing with it. No crops, no food, no jobs, no development. Now, this other thing about farm property, I know most people don't realize this. You take raw dirt, you till it, you get it ready, you plane everything, right? So you can water it, irrigate it, plant your crops. And then you also fertilize the land, right? Fertilizers, NPK primarily, but fertilizer. The ground becomes more valuable because the fertilizer is put in it. It becomes not just productive, but super productive. It produces a lot more the more the ground is used and cared for properly. In any event, yes, the South African farmers, if, as I suggest, we're told you're going to grow your own food and food for others, right? We'll help you out, but you're going to help us out. You want to be an American, you'll act like an American, right? Bill Gates and the Chinese, they want to destroy America. They're part of the problem in America. And I wish Bill Gates a very long and painful life in jail. I think that would be fair. In any event, great topics. They really are. I think the discussions need to be had, explored. And then I'll tell you what, in 2 weeks, in 4 weeks, in 2 years, we need to talk about it again. What's been happening with these farmers? What the fuck are they doing? Are they living up to the beliefs that we had or the hopes we had? Or have they become shitheel, backstabbing, freeloading pieces of shit? I don't think they have that work ethic. Like I said, the South Africans and former Rhodesians that I've known, met, and worked with and around for about a decade before I left California, they were all hardworking people. And I'm not lying when I tell you the man I worked with, for and around, was the most decent, respectful, honest guy I've ever met. Right? We did a construction defect lawsuit against a contractor who did a shitty job building a hotel for a particular Native American tribe. And we were involved in the lawsuit, operating and testifying against the builder. And the lawyer kept asking us, this is what happened, right? Basically trying to put words in our mouth to help him lie in a lawsuit. This man wouldn't have anything in any part of it. Neither would I. I fucking hated that attorney. He's a giant dickhead. And Mike, you know who you are. He's a lying sack of shit. Now, his lawsuit was good, but he wanted all the help he could get to make sure he could screw everybody the most. It really was an eye-opening experience, folks, to work with someone who's decent and moral. And he wasn't churchy. He was just a good fucking person. And I think that's the culture that was developed down there, because it's a harsh land. South Africa and neighboring countries, it's very harsh. You will work or you will starve. Good God. All right, Ooman, this hour has flown by. Good golly. What do we want to talk about next? We've got bump, ba-da-dum, bump. Ooman says, as long as they are capable of assimilating, and again, we're talking about the South African farmers, as long as they're capable of assimilating and being productive parts of society, I have no problem with that kind of immigration. They then also become consumers and taxpayers. Right? They're not taking welfare money and spending it into the economy. They're producing goods which have value, which add value to the world. And then they take their profits from that and spend it into the economy. Good stuff. And not to mention become taxpayers. Nothing like feeling that bite out of your ass to make you appreciate where you live. And after that bite is taken out of your ass, you can really bitch and complain at politicians because you know you paid your fair share and done your job. But these motherfuckers in D.C. will not do their jobs. In fact, they feel it's their job to commit crimes, launder money, extort money, screw people over, bribe people to get rich, insider trading, and then you, America, just shut the fuck up. That's what they want. Good God. Okay, Ooman, who's next? Bump, 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 bump. Michael Brown checks in. And holy shit, Michael says, I don't consider myself black. I prefer American chocolat. My caramel-colored brother, I tell you what, Michael, I understand. I think I understand what you're saying. And he does say, I love you all. And I'll tell you what, Michael, brotherly love to you and everyone, regardless of color. Because if you're my brother, I'll know you by the way you act, behave, and think. It's not the way you look. I've met plenty of people of all skin tones who I would never, ever, ever call my brother. In any event, he says, I don't consider myself black. And the reason I think he's saying that, and I forgive me, Michael, I'm trying to not put words in your mouth. I'm giving you my interpretation, is the way Black America is presented by the entertainment industry, the news industry, and the political industry, is that they're presented as not being able to take care of themselves. They need government handouts eternally. They present Black Americans in a very negative way. But then it is also that negative image that's been created by the media, by news and television, entertainment, and politicians. I think the way they're presented is, well, you know, it's perfectly fine, but we need to coddle these people, right? We need to encourage them to continue to, I don't know, be fucking ghetto idiots. What kills me though, Michael, is down here in Florida, in the county I'm in. I know there's bad areas and poor areas, but I just don't run into negative Nelly asshole minorities of any minorities, you know, Black, Mexicans, Cubans. I just don't run into any assholes. I'm always prepared, folks, no matter what color, right? If someone's giving me the stink eye, you know, watching me a little too closely, I watch them. But anyways, back to Michael at the end of the show here. He says, I don't consider myself black. You're not that, Michael. And since you and I have talked for about an hour on the phone or on the computer, I got to know you a little bit and kind of learn about who you are as a human. And you see in people the goodness. And I know your story, Michael, and I understand why you would say that. Or at least I see from my perspective how you would believe that, I'm not black. You see yourself as chocolate American, right? You're melanated, but I really appreciate that. There's other folks that think the same way, and a lot of you. And same with the Asian community, same with the Hispanic community. I worked with a lot of Filipinos and Pacific Islanders in California, and they're all good people, folks. As long as you're good people, it doesn't matter what color you are. But I do like American chocolate. That's pretty fucking funny. Anyways, I wish you all a good evening. Eyes open, ears open. Understand the world around you, right? Where you live, 10-mile radius around you. Right? Chance favors the prepared mind. Thank you again for everything you guys are doing for each other, helping wake up other Americans, help getting them prepared, and supporting this channel and the message that we share, which is one of American exceptionalism, starting with freedom and liberty and equality and equal rights under the law and equally held accountable by the law. Obviously, we have to fight for that one again. But chance favors the prepared mind, and I hope to see you guys again tomorrow. We'll be back with more exciting what the fuck is going on type news. Until then, adios amigos, and God bless America.